The Sea of Thieves is home to many different pirates, trading companies, and skeletons. Lots and lots of skeletons. But there is one character in particular that has been MIA for the past 2 years. Having heard nothing from him since the release of Heart of Fire back in March of 2020, the latest adventure will bring the return of Stitcher Jim. I think we can all agree that Stitcher Jim is the most forgotten, least talked about character in the recent story that's been unfolding. But it's clear that in the reveal trailer for A Siren's Prize, they were hinting about his return. I see what you guys did there. But before his official return, let's go over the complete story so far regarding Stitcher Jim and his journey from Bilgerat to Ashen Lord. The story of Stitcher Jim begins before many other pirates had actually made it into the Sea of Thieves. He was among the first pirates to breach the shroud after the Magpie's Wing. Jim allied himself with Rathbone, who would later become the Gold Hoarder, and accepted the task of charting the course through the Devil's Shroud for all other pirates to venture through. His charts allowed the major characters that we know today to escape their lives in the outside world and venture into the pirate paradise of the Sea of Thieves for themselves. He doesn't seem like that bad of a guy, right? He helped lead all of these characters through the Shroud and into paradise. However, Stitcher Jim isn't nicknamed the Liar for nothing. Stitcher Jim would first betray the Pirate Lord and join Rathbone's crew after he mutinied the crew of the Magpie's Wing, helping Rathbone form the Gold Hoarders faction, stationing the most wealthy pirates from the company at every outpost to collect even more treasure for their greedy alliance. After the founding of the Gold Hoarders, Stitcher Jim faded into the shadows, lying low, until he would eventually join forces with Captain Grace Morrow and her crew to form the Forsaken Shores Alliance. With this new alliance, Stitcher Jim would help them sail past the Shroud once again, this time discovering a new area of the Sea of Thieves that was never before discovered, the Devil's Roar, a forsaken place filled with fire, ash, and volcanoes. The enchanted figurehead on Captain Morrow's ship allowed her crew to pass through the shroud that was around the Devil's Roar, and were the first sailors to chart this dangerous new place. However, with dangerous islands come dangerous treasure. Stitcher Jim would discover a mysterious crate on the shore of an island he was charting, a box that could only be described as holding wondrous secrets. The Box of Wondrous Secrets, the rarest treasure for us pirates to find in the Sea of Thieves. But this box didn't give Stitcher Jim 25,000 gold like we do for cashing it in. His curiosity got the best of him, and Jim broke the seal on the box. The pull of this Pandora's box-like relic was just too much for Stitcher Jim to resist. Glancing inside and peering into the secrets held within, the indescribable contents of the box drove Stitcher Jim to insanity. In an attempt to deliver the box to the resurrected Rathbone, known now as the Gold Hoarder, Jim betrayed his alliance. It wasn't long before Stitcher Jim began to pick off the members of his alliance, one by one, giving in to the box's corruption and destroying the Forsaken Shores Alliance, leaving just him and the captain alive. And when Stitcher Jim attempted to poison Captain Morrow, she survived, while Jim mocked her for surviving, and began telling lies about her story before the pirates of the Sea of Thieves could officially meet Captain Morrow, He would call her Captain Sorrow and say that she was the one responsible for the Forsaken Shores Alliance downfall. When the Devil's Roar was open to all, Stitcher Jim was found on Liar's Backbone, a very fitting island for someone of his character. He told pirates that his alliance had found their way into the Devil's Roar, but he was the only one that made it back, and that Captain Sorrow was a pirate who spreads sadness and misery wherever she goes. She got us, one by one, in the pursuit of riches. Perhaps I'll make it back there one day, and get my revenge on her. Now obviously, we know this isn't true. And this is where we learn for the first time never to trust Stitcher Jim. And once his lies were proven to not be true, Jim backpedaled on his statements immediately and tried to deny what Captain Morrow told us about the truth of his misdeeds. On Liar's Backbone, Stitcher Jim was marooned, and he would have died of thirst if he wasn't saved by a masked stranger. The infamous face that we now know as Wanda the Warsmith of the Dark Brethren. But before the Brethren was formed, the masked stranger would extend her hand to help Stitcher Jim, a form of second chance at life by her side. He helped her grow her power in the Sea of Thieves. He helped her set up the Fort of the Damned to resurrect Captain Greymarrow, freeing Sir Arthur Pendragon from his painting imprisonment, where Jim's trickery led to the resurrection of Flameheart. And eventually, Stitcher Jim would help build the Reaper's hideout itself. His loyalty to the Warsmith seemed to be never-ending, since he had fallen in love with her. Since the beginning, Stitcher Jim has been the main catalyst for all the negative events in the Sea of Thieves, from the betrayal of his alliance to resurrecting Captain Flameheart. However, by this point, Stitcher Jim would have claimed to turn over a new leaf, and claims to have repented his ways of being the lying coward we've known him for all of these years up to this point. When the Seabound Soul Talltale was introduced, Stitcher Jim replaced Duke as the head representative of the Bildrats. You see, at this point, Duke had gone on a voyage to seek out Larina, the head of the Bildrats. And since Stitcher Jim was in charge, for now, he told us to trust him. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. He seems to have a great interest at this time in the Ashen Tomes and Ashen Chests that had appeared around the world. The Ashen Tomes he was accepting actually held the secrets to Ashen Lords written inside of them. Why would Stitcher Jim be so interested in Ashen Lords? Well, it makes a whole lot of sense now. But back then, we had no idea what was coming. We just simply saw him as the new person to go to spend doubloons. At the end of the Seabound Soul, we hand a mysterious skull to Pendragon, and with a slash of his Sword of Souls, Captain Flameheart was resurrected, and Stitcher Jim had once again tricked us. Shortly after Flameheart's resurrection, Stitcher Jim would help hold the Festival of Giving event, the Christmas update of 2019 that added in the two gifts to the game, the Humble Gift and the Generous Gift. Stitcher Jim told us not to cash those in with him, but instead to hand them over to the masked stranger at the Reaper's hideout. That's the name she chose for that little isle east of the Wanderer's Refuge. She's so creative! Sure, Jim. Creative. These gifts that we were handing over to the masked stranger would cause the hideout to become more and more furnished over time. And once again, Stitcher Jim has tricked us into playing for the enemy's side. With his help, the masked stranger would fully build the Reaper's hideout, and the Servant of the Flame became the head of the new faction on the Sea of Thieves, the Reaper's Bones. And of course, we know now that the Servant of the Flame is actually Captain Flameheart's son. So, yeah, it's not a really good thing that the Reaper's Bones came into power. Stitcher Jim wasn't quite done tricking us though, because with the resurrection of Flameheart, Jim would secretly be building a hideout on Liar's Backbone, a form of shrine that was dedicated to Captain Flameheart, and to keep the key to the Heart of Fire safe. The Heart of Fire is Flameheart's keep that was built underneath the Devil's Thirst many, many years ago during Flameheart's life. This would be where Stitcher Jim would finally get what he deserved for tricking us for 3 years. At this time, Stitcher Jim had gone missing from the Bilge Rats entirely, saying that he's head off to take care of some important business. With the power of the dark relics that pirates had been selling to the Bilge Rats at this time, Stitcher Jim was able to capture the souls that we had freed in the Seabound Soul Talltale, and imprison them inside of the Chest of Rage. So that is where the Heart of Fire Talltale begins. Pendragon tells us that we need to basically steal back the chest before Stitcher Jim performs this ritual. What is this ritual, you may ask? I don't know, let's go find out. After venturing through the Heart of Fire, dodging fiery traps, and nearly avoiding being burned to death, we come face to face with Stitcher Jim.
The return of the Ashen Lords! It's going to be spectacular! My arm! It's burning! What have you done to me?
We're able to recover the Chest of Rage, but once again, Stitcher Jim had run away and faded into the shadows. 2 years have now passed since his disappearance, and since then, we haven't even heard a single bit of information of where he is currently. We've had the Pirate's Life update, we've had 6 adventures so far, and through all of that, nothing. That is, until now. This trailer shows that Stitcher Jim is still alive, even after having his arm burned pretty badly by the Chest of Rage. He appears to be working on something, and now has an Ashen curse from that burn. This right here, I believe, is his final step into becoming an Ashen Lord, as Flameheart hinted to in the Talltale. Stitcher Jim places the now repaired skull of Captain Flameheart on the skeleton, takes off his pendant, that was actually the finger of Captain Flameheart, and lifts up a chalice.
It's time.
I'm personally pretty excited for this next adventure. I'm just hoping it isn't as much of a letdown as the Siren's Prize was. There's a reason I didn't make an adventure log on that one. Please, Rare, give Stitcher Jim a good send-off. Because chances are, we might actually be killing him at the end of this adventure once he's fully become an Ashen Lord. I mean, that's just what makes sense to me, but who knows, he might, I don't know, be a good guy after all this time, and no, I think we're killing him. What do you guys think? Do you think we'll finally get revenge on Stitcher Jim for all he's done to us in this upcoming adventure? But if you enjoyed this lore deep dive into the life of Stitcher Jim, and his return to the Sea of Thieves as an Ashen Lord, please make sure to give this video a like, and make sure to subscribe to never miss an upload. And until next time, I will see you out on the seas.